Velina mai kako. Welcome to Keep It Aloha, a podcast that keeps it aloha by keeping one foot on sand. I'm your host Kamaka, and any kid who has lived away from Hawaii knows exactly what I'm talking about. We have an amazing guest today, but before we introduce him, I gotta remind you to check out our website at keepitaloha.com and our Patreon at patreon.com/kamakadias to get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to this podcast. We run this podcast independently, and all funds go to helping us, so any help would be greatly appreciated. If supporting this podcast with money is not for you, but you still love listening to us, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I read every single one, and to prove it, I want to share this recent review from I Love to Travel. They say, mahalo for this beautiful, nostalgic, and inspirational interview with Kumu Robert. They're talking about the episode with Robert Cazimero, a legend in music. Today, we have another musical guest, and I am so stoked that I got to talk stories with him. He's a big fan of the podcast. I'm a big fan of his. We had a great conversation, and it's so cool just to see these people that you admire throughout your life come on the show and become a fan of you. So this is a really awesome episode, and it's really fun to get to know Justin Kawika Young and his life and all the musical experiences that he has obtained over his long career. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. It's a good one. All right, let's introduce our guest. Support for this podcast comes from Texaco in Hawaii, which features 58 convenient locations across the state. Fueling up at Texaco is fast and easy when you use the Texaco mobile app to pay at the pump. The Texaco mobile app is a contactless way to pay for fuel, so you can get in and out of the gas station quickly. Fuel your car and fuel yourself. Pick up your favorite local snacks and ice cold drinks at your neighborhood Texaco today. Texaco at Techron, driving performance. Our guest today is a musician from the island of Oahu. This voracious non-fiction book collector and aspiring reader has accumulated 11 number one hits on Hawai'i radio and has toured with Brett Young and Colbie Caillat, eventually forming a band with Caillat and their two friends called Gone West. This band has accumulated over 40 million Spotify streams, and now this 90s R&B aficionado and Uno champ has formed a new band called the Seven Sons, which we'll talk about today. His original music can also be heard on the soundtracks of Point Break, Wild Horses, and the Walking Dead TV series. I am so stoked to talk stories with him today. His name is Justin Kawika Young. Aloha, Justin. Welcome to the Keep It Aloha podcast. How you doing?
Aloha. Good. I love that you pulled stuff from my Instagram bio.
I actually got that from X, aka
X.
Twitter.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I had to. I like to try to do as much research as I can.
You blended the official bio and the social media bio, which is probably more accurate than the other things.
Yeah. For a little bit, I dabbled with ChatGPT, but it got too not robotic, but just formal.
Oh, you would have ChatGPT write the intros for you?
Yeah, well, so I would always write the intros. I'll just look from Wikipedia, website, Instagram, social media, and combine it on, and sometimes I'll put it into ChatGPT. But then they use bigger words, and there's I've had people be like, "This is not you. This intro is written by ChatGPT, wasn't it?" Or even I think a guest was like, "Was that ChatGPT?" So I was like,
"It's not gonna work."
How's it? Oh, we're recording. Yeah, right there.
What's up?
Shout out to manager Josh, just walked into the building.
Oh, Josh. I put in ChatGPT when it first came out. Can you write a song in the style of Justin Kawika Young?
Did they?
They did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was terrible. Oh. It was my name is Justin. I'm on a beach. I like to play music in the islands. It was yeah.
That's funny.
I couldn't use it.
I've seen my friends do some stuff make a poem about our friend about something funny, and it was pretty good.
Yeah,
but song is, I guess, is a different beast.
It was funny, but it wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm super excited that you're here today. You're just here for a couple of days, right?
Yeah, just in town for some shows. Good to be back home and play music with my friends. That's the best.
Awesome. Yeah, we almost crossed paths in person. This is the first time we're meeting at the airport.
Yes.
The other month. I saw you, and I was like, oh, that guy's really tall. And then I was like, yeah, that's Justin Kawika Young.
And I saw you and I was like, that looks like Kawaka, but what is he doing here?
Yep, just doing the little Hawaiian Airlines series.
Yep.
But super stoked to get to know you, hear your life story. Let's start at the beginning. Where are you from? Where you grad? And what was it like growing up?
From Kailua, I grad from Kalaheo, and growing up, it was great. I was raised by a single mom, and humble beginning. She wanted to stay home with me until I was like 6, so we're on public assistance for a long time when I was small, and she went to night school and got her master's.
Wow.
And we moved to Kailua when I was, I think, 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, only child, single mom. She worked at Kohuku Elementary back in the days. And yeah, I mean, I mean, looking back, it was nice. I had a lot of alone time, but I also made friends in the neighborhood. And it was just like every day playing and riding your bike to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a special place to grow up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you do any sports, or you always into music? Any extracurriculars?
Man, from when I was a small kid, I became obsessed with the Chicago Bears.
Nice.
And my mom working at Kohuku, I mean, I would go to all the games. And so I got obsessed with football and wanted to be a football player when I was real small. And all I wore was like Bears shirts. And I'm still a big Bears fan now, but it's been a rough 20 years, 20, 30 years. Yeah, it's been rough.
Bright future though.
We got a bright future. The
football season
off-season
is about to start.
I know.
Did you watch the Hard Knocks?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I've been waiting for them to do Hard Knocks for like 20 years.
So sorry if people aren't sports fans, but
yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Bears this season? Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen,
I mean,
Odunze.
I'm very excited. I was a Justin Fields fan, but I think it's just different having Caleb there.
Mm-hmm.
I love my team. I love the receiver room. Yeah, the defense is solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I said this last season. I'm like, I know we're at least going to be better than last year, and last year was not good. So I have high hopes, but that is the life of being a Bears fan until the season starts. And we'll see what happens. But it feels different.
This is the year. This is the year. Going to be better than last year.
I mean, the bar is low.
The bar is low.
Yeah.
So being better than last year isn't too hard.
I've learned from being a Bears fan that your happiness is a lot of times based on the expectations that you have going in. So I enter every season with no expectations.
That's good. So the Bears taught you great, valuable life lessons.
Life lessons, yes.
Disappointment. Have no expectations. Thank you, Bears.
How to be loyal. Yeah. It's a little bit of a masochistic relationship I have with the Bears. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what position did you play in high school?
I was offensive lineman in high school. We were really terrible. And at the same time, I fell in love with music when I was in like 8th grade. I mean, I always loved music, but I think from like 8th grade, I was like, I wanna do this. And I started like writing songs, and then when I got to Kalaheo, I just was like asking, and I'm very shy and introverted, but I started asking around like who can sing, and started a little like vocal group, wanted to be Boys to Men. Wore a purple suit to school for my performances and thought it was like, it
Prince vibes.
Yeah. Very Prince vibes. And then was the guy that was carrying around his ukulele and playing at lunch. And then had another like little island band. So that kind of surpassed my desire to play football. Thankfully, I would have gone nowhere. But yeah, music became a big part of my life. In high school, yeah, and did all like the talent shows and stuff like that. My first performance, I was so nervous I lost my voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it started to like crack. How your
I literally
voice gets high, and then it just
I literally couldn't. So someone else had to sing for me. I still got up on stage, but I couldn't. I was supposed to sing like the first verse or second verse of some song, and someone else had to do it. So
like mid performance, they noticed you weren't singing, so they just
before. I think I made myself sick because I was so nervous. And I realized even then I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like my biggest fear, or one of my biggest fears, is like being the center of attention and being in the spotlight is in opposition to the thing that I love the most. So I guess I felt even then I felt like, oh, this is probably not a coincidence that I have an opportunity with the thing that I love to overcome something that I fear so much. So it was an auspicious start to my career because I literally just got up on stage and had like no voice at all.
That's crazy. So how did you get over that fear? Because you are so, I mean, you're in bands, but you know, you're you're solo. You're also the lead vocals, which is a lot of times the face of the band. So how did you overcome that?
I mean, I think I've realized you just don't ever fully overcome it. I think it took me a long time to figure out what performing was going to look like for me. When I started, I didn't play an instrument, so I just was on stage with the microphone, and like my friends used to say that I looked like I got shot in the stomach because I would just hold the mic and have my hand like right here the whole time. And then starting to like play guitar helped, having an instrument. And then I just realized, like, I mean, it took like 10 years, and I just realized like, oh, I'm not an entertainer. But if I just get up and be myself, and it's okay to acknowledge if you're nervous or to make mistakes, then that works for me. And like, there's a book I read by Kenny Werner, who's a jazz artist, and he always talks about like, however you feel, the audience will reflect that. So if you're uncomfortable or you don't forgive yourself for mistakes, then they'll feel that. But if you're okay with the mistakes you make, and you're comfortable with yourself, and even if comfortable being nervous, that they'll feel comfortable too. So that was kind of key for me to just realize, like, I'm not good at like getting up and being somebody else on stage and trying to like entertain. But if I just get up and really sink into being who I am, whatever that looks like in the moment, then that's usually when I have my best shows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I resonate with that a lot because even when I'm asked to like MC or like host stuff, and people are always like, yeah, you're so great, but I don't really enjoy that stuff, honestly. Like, I like the one-on-one conversations, and because, you know, the things that we do, we're in front of people a lot, so it seems like we're very outgoing and we love people, and, you know, I do, but it drains you. And especially having that, like, that spotlight, the center of attention. I don't really love it. Like, I did a keynote speech last year, early this year, I forget, and it was cool, and like I did well, but after that I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that again. You know, it doesn't like give me the same satisfaction of just like having a conversation like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're similar to that.
No, absolutely. Because I'm really introverted and often shy, but I also love talking to people one-on-one. Like, I love getting to know someone. Yeah. And I think we're both super curious just about people in general. So I get like more energy when I have a really good conversation, but sometimes being around groups can be the same, draining. And like getting up and talking in front of people is, I mean, most people are afraid of that. And I did like the commencement speech for a Colbie graduation years and years ago. And I was like, this is the last thing I want to do, but you know what? I'm going to say yes because I want to challenge myself to do it. Felt like sick for like a week beforehand. It went fine, but yeah, it's just because, you know, we like this type of thing doesn't necessarily mean that we like to be up in front of people all the time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel when I have to do this thing, kind of going back to like just being yourself, because I'm just like, I'm not like super like someone like Island Magic Mike or like Xavier, when they're like dancing and like super energetic. I'm kind of just more mellow, and then I kind of just have witty dad jokes once in a while. Like that's more me, but like I'm more monotone and stuff like that. So instead of trying to like be like that, I just like, I'm just gonna be myself, and it seems to work.
But I mean, if people see you on this show, they know what they're getting. And I guess that's why people love it so much, because you're not putting anything on, even in these conversations. Like, I'm a fan too of this of the podcast, and like it's because of that. Like, you're very likable and you're very much yourself, and it feels comfortable to listen to because it feels like you're comfortable with who you are.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, mahalo. Appreciate it.
And like,
think Kawika Young. I'm a fan as well.
And the stage fright thing, I just think like, it's never gonna go away for me.
Uh-huh.
And there's ways of mitigating it.
Mhm.
I wasn't always like the most prepared for stuff when I was younger, but now I feel like preparation is one thing that can help me feel like some degree less nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not like to brag at all because I was not like the main artist, but like doing the national anthem with Colbie where I'm playing guitar
At the White House,
at the
right?
White House at these like nationally televised football games. Like, I mean, the last thing I want to do is F it up and then screw her up, you know? So I even feel more pressure when I'm backing somebody else. Cause if it's just me, like I can like mess myself up and that's
You
fine.
take the blame.
Yeah. I did a thing where I had to play keys with Colbie and Babyface for a show. And I never played keys like live before.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I just was like, it's one song. I'm going to play this 1,000 times so that in the moment when I'm shaking and I feel like I'm going to like lose my mind, at least I know, okay, I've played this 1,000 times and my hands will go where they have to.
Yeah.
But even like on this tour with Brett Young playing keys for him, there's one song, Mercy, where it's just me and him.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. Just me and him on stage, me playing keys and him singing. Nobody is paying attention to me whatsoever, but every night, and I played the song now hundreds of times live, up until the last show I played with him like 6 weeks ago, I still have like mini panic attacks. I thought it would like go away after a while, but no. So you just learn to live with it and try and reframe it in your mind if you can. And
yeah, I think that's so true. You don't really get over things. You just kind of learn how to deal with them, whether that's anxiety, fears, whatever. My trick is always, turning nerves into excitement. That's what I always do instead of just like, oh, I'm so nervous to go in front of these people. I'm like, I'm so excited that these people get to hear me and I get to share my story. So that usually worked for me, just flipping that mindset, because I say I don't get nervous, but there are some nerves, you get that feeling, that little quick
heart
anxiety,
rate,
that heart,
and
you kind of just have to like pull yourself together, and then you go up and it's not as bad sometimes.
No, that's definitely, I do the same thing, and it's just reframing it. And there's this book called Choke about people who have like choked under pressure. But one of the things that they say does help is like when you are feeling the heart rate go faster and your shortness of breath, like you can just tell yourself, and I try to do this too, it's like, oh, my body's preparing to do something really well. That's what it's doing. It's, and that's what you did. Instead, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a time where, besides the was it the talent show or Aloha, where you choked?
Oh man, I mean, I've definitely like really biffed lyrics like majorly, but nothing like in a high pressure situation. I think for me it's usually like my choking is just that I'm not free enough to do my best performance. So in big pressure situations, a lot of times it's like, okay, I got through it. I didn't mess up, but I didn't do a performance that really was free and was to the potential. It was safe and I didn't mess it up, but it wasn't anything great. So, I mean, that really there's some really special people that can, in those situations, just go like, F it. Like, I'm just going to let it go. But, so I think that's the next step for me to work on.
Okay, cool. It's cool to hear as just somebody who has seen you basically majority of my life, my adult teens to adulthood. So in my eyes, as a Hawai'i artist, you're a successful artist, but to still hear like, oh, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm learning. Like, I still get nervous. I think for a lot of us, it's like, wow, it's just like one of us,
Yeah. I mean, when I hear big artists talk about it too, it makes me feel better. When I hear like huge artists I respect talk about throwing up before shows still, and I'm like, oh, okay, then this is okay.
It's
like,
normal.
Yeah. Other people live with this too.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. So let's talk about the I guess the start of your, not your career, but like when you started to get big. Like, when was the big moment that made it all happen?
I mean, I think for me, when I finally felt like, oh wow, this feels like this can be The Thing was my second album, and I did a cover of Crazy Love. I was performing at like Aloha Tower for some event, and everyone was singing along, and I was like, oh yeah, well this is a cover, so they all know this song. And then I got to the little silly little rap section in there, girl, this pupule love you give, which is the part that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone was like, girl, this pupule love you give, like the whole crowd was there, and I was like, oh, they know my version of this song. And that was I'll never forget that moment, because that was like, oh shit, like yeah, this is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, even in high school, I was like trying to, I guess now the word be manifested, but I would imagine like my CDs at Tower Records and performing for people
Mm-hmm.
and all that. Like, you know, I think in that moment I was like, oh wow, this is really becoming something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the song that catapulted everything?
That was probably the first I got some radio play for my first album, which is like the first songs I ever wrote. So for a long time I guess I still cringe when I listen to a lot of that music, which is now like decades old. It's like having the first things you ever made like out publicly in the world forever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Crazy Love was probably the first one that kind of like was a thing.
What about original?
Trying to think. I don't know, like well, One Foot on Sand was a special song for me and kind of cool because I made that album. I was living in LA at the time and put it out and didn't really get much airplay or anything. And it wasn't until like a couple years later. A lot of times it has felt like I'm making things for myself because you put it out and you don't seem to get much coming back from it. And I came back and played a show in Kona, and one of my good friends, Jason, who's now in the new band that I'm in, was like, hey man, your One Foot on Sand song was like, me and all the boys, you know, we lost a couple of brothers and we all learned it and sang it at their memorial, and it's super special to us. And I was like, oh wow, like I had no idea. And then I would get more and more people coming up to me and going like, oh, this is our graduation song, or it really helped me when I moved away. And so that was like that one's really special. And that's one that I wrote and didn't even think it was landing anywhere until a couple years afterwards.
Yeah, well, you didn't know One Foot was always in the sand the whole time. Yeah, like I said on our call, there's the Hawai'i national anthem. Besides Hawaii Pono'i, I think for any kid that goes away, they always listen to that.
Well, I love it. And like, I mean, I knew I was in a unique position to be making music for here, but living away. So I was like, well, that's one perspective that I can share that I have that's different than a lot of the artists that are here. And like a lot of them, like, you know, when I play this song like on the continent or whatever, I'm like, you're my people, because like, you know, like we have a shared experience of like leaving a place that we love and having aspirations for other things and still feeling connected to home in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How hard was it being away at first? Because you left after high school to LA?
It was a couple years after high school. I mean, to be honest, in the beginning, it wasn't that hard because I was coming back like every other month to play shows and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It was hard getting my footing in LA though. Like I was taking classes at UCLA Extension at night, and that was kind of it. Like I didn't know anybody really. And I would go like weeks without speaking to another human because I wasn't out like hustling shows. I didn't really know how to do that. So I'd like fly home, play some shows, and then fly back to LA and then just go back to my house and be a hermit. Yeah. I ate cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then like a couple nights a week, I would go to my class. Sometimes I would talk to people. Sometimes I would just take notes and go back home. And it was a weird like dichotomy of like coming home, playing shows for people, and then going back and not seeing anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know how healthy hermiting is for me, but eventually I found my way in LA. But I've had definitely like real moments of being homesick. So I know what that's like. But I do also like, I meet people out on the continent that are like, I haven't been home in like a year and a half. And I'm like, I'm so lucky that I get to come home for work, so often. But yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to hear that coming from Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
where, at the least, maybe you go home for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
New Year's,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Thanksgiving, those events, graduations. And yeah, I've met other people who are like, yeah, I haven't seen my parents in like 3 years, or I haven't been home in like 9 years. I'm like,
9 years.
that's crazy. I
Yeah.
guess just the dynamics are different, culture is different. Maybe your relationship with your family is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always the same. But hearing that was a culture shock in itself.
Yeah.
Being around other people from the States. Yeah.
Well, like for me as a kid, getting on a plane and going anywhere was like a huge event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like you've traveled a lot too. I know you did the Peace Corps. My
Mm-hmm.
mom was in the Peace Corps
No
too.
way. What? Where?
In Korea.
Oh, super
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I think we kind of like normalized I'll just get on a plane and I'll be home in 5 hours. But like I know for a lot of people that's like an event that happens like once a year, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even if we want to talk about being in the Peace Corps in Madagascar, some people never even leave their village or their town.
I bet.
Yeah. So, or some people have never even been on a plane.
Do you keep in touch with your fellow Peace Corps
Yeah.
volunteers? Yeah.
So because I live here, a lot of people come here. So I would say like every year there's like one or two people that visit,
that's
or
cool.
there's a friend that's coming, I think next month. So I'll probably meet up. I usually just grab dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool that I get to keep up with them, reminisce, and then a lot of the Malagasy people, they're all on Facebook, so they always try to message.
That's great.
Yeah, my host mom always asking when I'm gonna come back.
How do you think that experience changed you when you came back home?
Well, I mean, it was the most life-changing experience of my life. I think just the perspective you gain from being in a foreign country, and it's not like going on a little visit. You're living there, and like the goal of the Peace Corps is to live like the locals.
Yep.
So you get paid according to how they get paid. You live in the same conditions as them. So you get water from a well. You take bucket baths.
Wow.
So all of those things just really make you grateful for everything we have here. The fact that we can do this and we have hot water and a shower, where I would have to go down to my well, get buckets of water, put it in this other thing, take it up to my house, put it in my other this bigger bucket, and then put it on like a kettle, warm it up. And if you don't have a kettle, you just put it on the stove to warm it up, like the gas stove. Then I gotta go down, sweep out my bath area, and then you gotta be really strategic with your bucket baths, so you gotta go, okay, so I got like one bucket to get myself wet, then I gotta shower, lather up, and then you want to try to make sure you wash everywhere so that you're not wasting the water, everything just comes down, and then you want to have like one or two at the end, like especially if it's cold, so yeah. And if you didn't have hot water, and sometimes like I had to take a cold bucket bath in like really freezing temperatures
before it was like the trendy thing to do for health.
Yeah, before, exactly. I was taking cold plunge before it was even cold. Yeah, so just those things, and just like being away. Like here we complain about potholes, and like my site, I was like a crazy road, and it took 4 hours just to get from where I live to the capital city. So, stuff like that. So I don't really find myself complaining a lot about a lot of things. But I think the hardest part coming back from the Peace Corps is trying to fit in again with society, and trying not to like, not so much judge, but be like, lessen people's problem. Like when people are like, oh, this was so hard, and it's like, but in the Peace Corps,
Right.
Oh man, my food took 20 minutes. I was like, well, in the Peace Corps we took like, and like, the hot water went out, and it's just like trying not to like compare and like downplay people's problem because you had it harder. That was probably the hardest thing for me. And you're a changed person after. So like a lot of the people that I hung out with, like in high school, in college while I was here, like I'm still friends with them, but I don't hang out because we're just like different people. And so it's a little lonely at times, like coming back. I really had to try to find my own place here again. And then I guess that's why I just kind of did my race to 50K. I just got into business, and that was kind of my way of living my life now. So it wasn't so much just like doing the normal things that people do and hanging out. I kind of just carved my own path because I felt different. I just saw the world differently.
Yeah, that would be hard because you want to like share the perspective of like how lucky we are, but you also, I mean,
you don't want to preach.
Yeah, you don't constantly like, oh, here he goes against the Peace Corps. I can't say anything. Like,
yeah.
I was like, you think Star was talking about reintegrating post pageant life? Yeah, you need that for Peace Corps too.
Exactly. So we have training sessions about that coming back, and then they also offer therapy and stuff like that. So just being able to talk to somebody. That's why it's awesome when we reconnect with the Peace Corps volunteers, because we get to reminisce about all those things, and nobody really gets it. Like, I can tell you how much it sucked, like getting stuck in a cyclone and sleeping on our bus and walking 8 hours back to my site. And you're like, oh, cool, that sounds like it was terrible, but like you don't really know how it feels, right? Or even like on your end, like having to tour and go to all these far places, waking up early, going to sleep late, like. So for somebody who's never experienced it, I'm just like, wow, that sounds very exhausting. But I don't really know how it feels, right? So it's just a different perspective, and shared trauma is a great way to connect with people. So
for sure,
we get those unique experiences that we get to bond over as other Peace Corps volunteers.
My mom had multiple people move here, I think, after the Peace Corps. So I grew up like every once or twice a year, they would all get together.
Oh, so cool.
Which is cool. And I got to grow up with a lot of their kids and stuff. So, but I know that bond is like a really special one.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's even Malagasy people that live here.
Oh, really?
That I've met. I spent like the National Independence Day with them like a year or two ago. And
that's cool.
It's so cool getting to try to speak Malagasy again, and just to see them coming from halfway across the world to live over here. It's really, really special. I encourage anybody to apply. I say anybody can do it, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it is challenging, it is hard. I had a lot of health problems as well. Like, I had my appendix removed. I had fleas burrow into my feet, and I had to dig out the eggs.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I had that twice. I had schistosomiasis, like this waterborne disease, food poisoning.
Oh my gosh.
Everything.
Yeah, you're not selling it too hard right now.
Oh, but it's great. It's great. I got free surgery.
You sound like parents when they go like, "Oh, how's it being a parent? I'm so exhausted. It won't shut up." But it's great. You should totally do it.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is great, but it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be worth it.
You don't regret doing it ever, right?
No, I am the person I am today because of the Peace Corps. Yeah. The confidence I gained, the hardships I went through. I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into. So I went in with the mindset that this is all going to be part of the experience, the good and the bad. And it helped me just become a better person, become more emotional, become more connected with others, myself. Also just being more realistic with things. So I was more of like an unrealistic optimist, like everything's awesome and nothing's bad. You gotta always smile, and then seeing other people like cry and talk about really hard stuff, and being open about stuff like, no, this sucks. It really helped me kind of tone down my optimism, so it's not so much like toxic optimism. So it's like, no, this does suck, but I'm still gonna have a positive attitude. And that's the thing that I carry today is like, yes, my life isn't perfect, and I still have struggles and hardships, but they don't affect me because I know that I can get through them. So that's
acknowledge the suck.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all part of the experience. That was my mantra every time. It's like, I'm in the hospital, about to get surgery, I'm just like, no, this is part of the experience. I'm in my house in my little corner, trying to use my flashlight to go under my foot and dig out.
Gosh,
something with like a syringe needle, and then like a blood coming down my foot. I'm just like, well, this is part of the experience.
Hold up, fleas can lay eggs inside of your foot.
They're called parasi. It's like this sand flea.
Okay,
that you usually get on the coast. So they burrow inside, and then you could see like their butt hanging, or like these little feet hanging out. And that's how you know it is. So people get them on their toes. I got one under like my heel, and then which was a hard spot to get,
It's
and then I
thick
got a
skin,
couple
man.
on my toe after we went on this like hiking trip, whatever.
Right.
And yeah,
Well, imagine if you went and it was like all easy and you had nothing.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got some real stories.
yeah,
out of it.
totally, yeah. And I think that's I'll definitely write a book in more detail because I have a book that I turned my blog into a book.
Mhm.
So there's some fun stories there. But I want to do like a bigger, more in-depth book about it.
Awesome.
But because I think it's such a unique experience. I don't know how long it'll be around now. I know it's not as popular as it
Oh, is it
was,
not?
back in the 60s,
Yeah,
70s,
for
80s,
sure.
especially post-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how long it sticks around. But yeah, very grateful for that experience. Yeah. Do you have any life-changing experiences like that? I feel like most people in life have certain experiences that changed their lives, like catalysts that really turned them into the people that they are, like pivotal moments. Like for me, it was studying abroad,
Yeah.
Peace Corps,
Yeah.
race to 50K.
Oh,
That all, and then now the podcast.
yeah.
Because all that, those are like the big moments that really affected my life.
Yeah. I mean, definitely like leaving home was obviously a big one, and being in LA. Because I would have never, toured with these artists and had these experiences that I had, which are really unique. I mean, like once I got to LA and got out of my hermitness, I started just doing like bar gigs, and that's when I really started playing guitar. And my first gig was 7 to midnight, so it was 5 hours
Oh,
solo acoustic.
do they have sets that long?
It was Burbank Bar and Grill, and I was just like out on the patio, and I only knew how to play like 10 songs on the guitar at the time. So,
So it's like the radio where you hear a song again.
We got these 10 songs in rotation. Hopefully your dinner will be done and you'll have left before I
you get the
hit
next
the
set,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah. But that really definitely allowed me to like become a better guitar player. And like I tell other artists too that are like, and I still do some restaurant and bar gigs, but like it can be a useful tool because you can really work on material. Like I would try out originals, nobody's listening, and mess up on the guitar, and really like it was like 5 hours of work of like practice. But after I did that, I was doing it like 3-4 nights a week, and after I did that for 4 or 5 years, I realized it was like sucking the life out of me because it's tough, man, because nobody's listening for that long, that many nights a week, and you just kind of get used to being part of the furniture, and people would like be clapping for the Lakers game, and you're like, they can't even hear you. I'm like, I was one time where I was just tuning my guitar, and then I stopped to figure out what song, and somebody was like clapping because all they heard was like the guitar stop, so they're applauding, not realizing like I wasn't even playing anything. But it was a cool time to be in LA. Bruno was out there. He used to come out to that gig and sing karaoke because he had like, he was just trying to do his thing. Sarah Bareilles would do shows, Andy Grammer, and Colbie was out there, and that's when I met Colbie. And then she had just got a record deal, and I remember I was at home at like, I think I just woke up. It was like noon. I was eating cereal, and one of her bandmates called me, and they're like, "Oh, are you in LA next week? Can you do the Tonight Show with us?" And I was like, what?
Like
the Tonight Show? Yeah. So yeah, and then I was able to join her band, and then it really saved me from like, I was kind of going down because I was really I had like some close moments where I was working with producers and having showcases, and labels were coming out, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're about to blow up, and this is you're gonna get signed," and then nothing ever materialized. And so I was kind of back at square one and just like paying the bills, playing covers 3 or 4 nights a week. And that really kind of pulled me out of that. And I got to go on this, like her first song just blew up. So we were just on the road for like a year straight. And
what was the first song? Was that Bubbly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. That was like
yeah.
So when I started, we were like all on one old bus, and then, all of a sudden we're traveling internationally, and yeah, it was so fun and such a really incredible experience, and so that was definitely one of the big moments for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guys created that band,
Yeah.
Gone West.
And we were in a relationship for a long time,
Mhm.
and we're engaged, and then moved to Nashville, and started a band called Gone West with two of our friends, and just kind of like for the hell of it, we're like, oh, it'd be kind of fun to do a writing session as a band.
Mhm.
So we wrote one song, and we're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then we wrote a couple more, and we're like, let's just put it out. And then we're like, oh, maybe we should try and get a record deal. So then it turned into this whole thing. So we signed to a Nashville label through Sony, and then spent about a year making the record, which was really cool. I hadn't done a lot of co-writing in my life, and to get in a room with, well, just the four of us, and then usually like some incredible Nashville songwriter,
Mhm.
and to see like how different people write and work and how they craft songs, and that was really a powerful experience too. And then we spent about a year in a van going to 100 and something country radio stations across the
That's
US
crazy.
and playing for them in their like offices, and then playing free shows for them and promoting our first single. Um, and then COVID hit, and then that was probably another like big moment. Colbie and I's relationship ended. COVID happened. We ended up like going like, yeah, I don't think we're going to keep doing this band. Not because of our situation, but just because it was like, it's hard to break a new band when you can't play shows.
Mhm.
And we had just spent a year working one song at radio, and they're like, okay, so we're going to pick another single, and then in about a year, it'll be maybe back in the top 10 again. So we're about to have to start over again, kind of. And so we all just kind of parted ways. But yeah, yeah, that was a big kind of like moment where like, and my gig, was playing with Colbie, and that was gone, and the band was gone, which I thought was like, oh, this is finally like, I'm finally signed to like a record deal and making it, and it was a weird time. And it
Totally.
felt like maybe the world was ending too.
Yeah. I mean, so many things and important things in your life came crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
And your job was tied to your relationship
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
So that's difficult. So I mean, I'm sure you went through some hard times and
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I lost my mom too, like years before then, and so like the relationship and her family becomes your family. That's where you
Mhm.
spend all your holidays and stuff. And
Yeah.
so it was a big career, and like I felt like my family was now like not part of the
You're
situation.
losing so much.
My partner
Yeah.
is now gone, and now I got to figure out at 40 something, like, what am I doing now? Like, how do I restart things? It's hard to play shows because of COVID. Where do I want to live? Thank God for my dogs, because they've been the one constant, and that's probably too why I mean, most of the time I'm gone, I just want to be home with them,
Mm.
because they've been like, I moved a lot too in that time trying to figure out where to go, and I was like, well, I don't know, I don't feel like I have a home right now, but I know when I'm with my dogs, I feel like I'm at home. So
Mhm.
I'm wearing my dog's socks right now.
Oh, that's what it is. Super cool.
But yeah, I mean, I also made a record in that time that I really love called Back to the Blue. Um, and I just put everything into making that, and that really helped me get through it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Would you, I guess not recommend, but like being in a relationship with somebody that you work with,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is like the pros and cons? Because it happens pretty often.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's different for different people because it can be catastrophic,
Mm-hmm.
and not a good idea to mix that. But for us, it worked really well because we're both kind of shy and have stage fright. And so now we're on stage with the person that we're closest to.
So you feel
So there was a
comfortable.
level
Yeah.
of comfort that I could
Safety.
provide for
Yeah.
her when she was on stage. And it was also easy to talk about, music things together because we both have that knowledge and stuff like that. I think it can also be hard because if you're like exhausted and tired, you're together all the time, and then you can end up just complaining about like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I don't want to do another, get in the van again and blah, blah, blah. And so that can probably not be, but for the most part, I think it functioned well for us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, when our relationship ended, it didn't make sense to keep playing music together, but I mean, we had a wonderful relationship and we're still friends now. And so no regrets in that regard. And now I've had other musical experiences that I probably wouldn't have had if I was still in her band too. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
So go for it.
Yeah, go for it. It's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the guy, Bobby Lee. He's a comedian. He has a podcast, but he does it with his ex, Kaillat. Josh. Well, Kaillat, that's her name? Yeah, Bobby's ex, yeah. So they do their podcast together, and they're broken up, but they still work together.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of those rare occasions that like it still continues on.
I think I don't know if you can maintain, because like, you love and respect each other, and ideally, nothing bad happened in the relationship. So why can't we continue that and still have a friendship?
We think the same. I've never had a bad breakup. I've been cool. Like my ex, she's not friends with any of her exes. My girlfriend isn't friends with any of her exes, and I'm like cool with all of mine. Like I still follow like some of them on Instagram. So it's just I'm the same way, where I'm just like, well, nothing bad happened. It's just circumstance.
It didn't work out for us.
Yeah, paths weren't aligning, but like, why do I have to not be friends or not like you just because we're not together?
Right.
So yeah, sometimes I wish the society viewed it a little different, because not that I want to hang out with my exes, but like, you say you're friends with your ex and they're like, oh, like, they kind of get
some people can't separate that, and it is complicated, especially if, depending on the circumstance, somebody's not over it, someone is over it, and that can be confusing and prolong the suffering and the breakup. So, but in general, like I always, if things don't work out, they don't work out, and that's okay. I still root for you, and like
same. I still root. I think I learned in my last breakup, like you can still love somebody but not want to be with them, and I think that's like one of the big lessons I learned as an adult.
Sometimes the biggest act of love is letting them know that this isn't working out for me. Because that's always been hard for me. Like I would rather be broken up with than have to break up with someone.
I always say I'd rather be the candle than the one that lights the matches.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
We'll dabble in some poetry.
There we go. Beautiful. Buy your poetry book too, man. But yes, I think like when I've been in situations where it's been hard to be honest with someone about that, when I really flipped it and like do this for them, because you're not helping by staying in a situation that you're not fully in. And that really is like, to be able to let somebody go is really a love.
Yeah. It's hard, but
it's hard. Yeah.
Totally. If it makes sense, then you should do it. Yeah. Okay. So going back to your career now, you had COVID, left the band, left the relationship, and now you're doing solo stuff, and you also have a new band called Seven Sons. But before we get into that, you mentioned that you made a documentary.
Oh yeah,
I didn't get a chance to check it out yet.
No.
I'm excited to watch it later.
So I went to documentary film school for a summer in New York, that was another amazing experience, because I love the city, and to get to feel like I was living there for a few months and riding the train every day to school. And I've always been a fan of documentary films. So I was like, oh, if music isn't working, maybe I could do another creative endeavor that is really difficult and makes no money. So I was like, let me try this. So I went to doc film school, which was amazing. And then I came back home for some shows and met a mutual friend, Miley Stant. And she was telling me like, oh, my older brother is like my hero, and he like saved me from our abusive father, and every good quality of myself I attribute to something I learned from him. And then she's like, oh yeah, he's the guy that attacked Nancy Kerrigan. So back in the 90s, there was this big thing where two ice skaters were competing to go to the Olympics, and one of them was attacked, so she couldn't compete, and so the other one couldn't go.
Oh, that sounds. I
Yeah,
feel like I've
the
heard
Tanya
of that.
Hardy, Nancy Kerrigan
That
story.
yeah.
So
Did they make a
Tonya-
movie?
Yeah, I
Oh,
Tonya was
yeah,
based on that.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So the actual hitman, the guy that whacked Nancy Kerrigan, was her brother, and I was like, I thought, because I've watched like the 30 for 30 on ESPN about it. I knew a lot about it. I had no idea the hitman was half Hawaiian.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I had never heard this other side. Like, if you know anything about Shane Stant or about the thing, you just think, oh, it was like this thug that came in. And to hear like he was someone's hero. So I was like, well, if you ever want to tell your guy's story, like I'd love to make it. And then like maybe a year later, she was like, I talked to my brother and he trusts me and I trust you. And we want to tell our story. And so, and in the process of like talking about the shooting, she was like, you know, I've never asked my brother about the attack before because I really didn't want to know that he was capable of doing something so violent. And I wanted to keep him on this pedestal. But now I realize that there's a closeness that you can't achieve without loving the entire person, you know, their shadow as well. So she's like, so I was like, okay, can you not talk to him about it until we have cameras rolling? So it was a 5-year project. It took forever. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And their story is really beautiful and lovely. And it's called My Hero, the Hitman. And so it talks about not only like their lives kind of paralleling each other 20 years apart, where they were both kind of victimized by their father and both chose to react to it differently, where Shane was like, I'm going to be the toughest mofo that no one is ever going to pick on again, and created this guy who was then capable of being hired to attack someone. And Miley chose the other option. And she was like, oh, if I can just cut off feeling pain, I won't suffer anymore, and became this straight A student and was like high achiever. And both of them at one point made a change to realize like, oh, I don't have to be the product of my upbringing. Who am I really? And so it's really beautiful how their stories kind of align like that. And then we tell the story about the attack as well, because people want to hear about that. And then they sit down and for the first time have a heart-to-heart about the abuse that they both went through. She asked him about the attack. And another big component is about forgiveness and how he was able to forgive his dad for all the things that he'd been through, even though his father never asked for it. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. It reminded me of the one video I saw where somebody talks about the hero and the villain have the same origin story. It's just how people react and what they choose to do with their upbringing.
Yeah. And I think like we're all more than one thing. Like one of my heroes is Brian Stevenson, who founded the Equal Justice Initiative, and his like famous quote is like, each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. So that was kind of like the guiding idea behind the movie. And like we've all been victims, villains, and heroes to different people throughout our lives. And just because he did this terrible thing, not to excuse it, to someone else, he really had a wonderful impact on their life. So
that's awesome. Where can we find the documentary? Apple
TV, Amazon Prime, most of those.
Oh wow, you got distribution.
Yeah, I got
that's
distribution.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That was a whole. We premiered at the Hawai'i Film Festival a few years ago. But yeah, it was my first self-funded film. It took 5 years. I edited it. It took me like.
Oh, you did all the editing?
I thought I would be editing it for the rest of my life. It took so long.
That's great. Just hire Jordan next time.
Oh, please. I didn't have any money. But yeah. And it's not a narrative film, so you could cut it like a million different ways.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's imperfect. It was a low budget, but I really just wanted to honor their story and try and tell it. So not a lot of people have seen it, but a lot like my music, it was made with heart, and hopefully a couple people can be impacted positively. Yeah.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Okay. Do you have plans to do more?
People always ask me that, and I'm like, I think I'm still traumatized by this one, but
hey, you know, money always helps. So if you got a budget,
That's
you can
right.
hire people to do all of it, then maybe it
yes,
takes
yes.
a lot of stress off of it.
Absolutely. No, I would love to. Kind of like with this project, I was just like open into the universe. Like, I don't know what I want to do with this, but if something comes to me, and that kind of came to me, definitely would do things differently. And yes, having a budget outside of my own
Yeah.
pocket would be very helpful. But someday, someday.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Looking forward to it. Before we get into our shishi break, because the shishi meter's rising, I can feel it. Tell us about your new band, Seven Sons.
Oh man, I'm so excited about the new project. There's a group of wonderful musicians. I've been playing music with them for years. They've been backing me. Sean, the main kind of heart of the band, Sean Pimentel, has been playing drums for me for like 20 something years. He's like my big bro. And we all just love and respect each other. They play with Caillat, 3 Plus, Rebel Soldiers, Ellie Mac, Anuhea, Palafunga. So they're just like some of the best musicians in town. And a few of them were like trying to come up with a band project, and they were looking for like the lead singer to come in. And Sean was telling me about it, and I was like, hello, is there a reason why you guys haven't asked me? He's like, would you want to do it? And I'm like, hell yeah, like what else? And he's like, you're on tour with Kawika Young, you don't live here. And I'm like, I'll drop everything to do this. You know, we've all been doing music for so long, and like, how do we want to spend the rest of our time, you know? And if we can do it making music with our best friends, you know,
how fun is that?
It's a true collaboration. And I think it's a lot of these guys have just been like backing people, and so for me, it's really exciting to like have them have a stake in something, and you're not just a hired gun. Like, this is your project; these are your songs, and so yeah, it's super exciting. We've now released three songs, and we have an album coming out November 8th.
Oh, cool! Coming up,
yeah.
Nice. Well, Many Feathers. It's in my liked.
Oh,
playlist.
awesome, man.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Did you write that, or you guys wrote it?
Yeah. I write most of the stuff, and then I'll like send the ideas to the boys, and they'll maybe come up with a bridge, and then I'll finish the bridge. But yeah, Many Feathers was one of the first ones, and Sean and I were kind of talking about like we wanted kind of like a big sound, like a festival sound, and that was one of the first ones. And I was just singing. Like, a lot of times when I'm writing, I'm just like singing whatever comes out of my mouth, and Many Feathers. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then I was like, oh, well, it takes many feathers to fly. And I was like, oh, this is kind of like what our band was. Like, each of us are unique and individual, like on our own, like a feather can be, but with all of us working together, we can like lift each other up. So
you can touch the sky.
You can touch the sky.
Many feathers to touch the sky.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
I love the lyrics.
Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
and it just made me think, like, you know, to get to the top, you know, you need a lot of help. You know, you need support, and you know, many feathers. You know, it's hard to do everything on your own.
And not it is hard. It's way harder. I mean, it's so much more fun to be in a band and to share in the experience. And like, with these songs wouldn't be what they are without all of us being a part of it. And it's just the power of a collective is cool to be a part of. You know? Yeah.
Cool. Do you watch anime by any chance?
I don't.
Okay, no. My mind is going, because you talked about your documentary, My Hero.
Yeah.
There's a show called My Hero Academia.
Okay.
And then the feathers, there's just one hero in that one. Hawk, and he has like feathers, and he can like shoot them out, and it comes. So
I need that sticker for my guitar case.
Yeah, what is that?
I need a sticker for my guitar.
Oh, okay.
case.
Yeah, maybe you got to get that guy Hawk.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mind just going.
That can be our like little totem.
Yeah. Many feathers. Cool. So what's the plan with this band? And also, Seven Sons, is that like a play on words, like Seven Sons, because you guys are all sons technically?
No, it's SUNS. So
no, I mean, is it like a pun?
Oh, I mean, we didn't mean it that way, because we don't need to gender our band. Like, we
You're thinking too far into it, Kawika.
No, but it was like, also I put into Chat GPT, like trying to find a name for the band.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was the worst list of names
What was
ever.
it, like Beach Boys 2.0?
Yeah, it was like, I can't even remember. But I think like, there's even a line in the song, "You and I are stars just like the sun." So we've each of us can be the main thing shining light, because we've all kind of helped in the background other people shine. And I want we want this band to be an opportunity for everyone to be a sun and not just a star in the
Oh,
background.
so everybody can shine. Yeah, it's like some planets, they got like multiple moons and suns.
Right.
Okay.
7 moons.
Yeah, 7 moons. That's the collab. That's
the collab.
Maybe when you guys all have kids or something.
The next generation.
Yeah. What was the band? What was that? Next Generation?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a band over
Yep,
here?
yep,
Yeah, it was
yep,
like all the sons of, like, what was it? Like, who are the
Like
people?
the Mana'o Company
Mana'o,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Next Generation.
Yeah.
Jordan was in a band called Second Legacy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan.
There's that one song I really like by them.
Just one.
What is it called? What is it called, Jordan? Does he have his headphones on? Here to Stay. I remember.
Okay.
Here to Stay. Go check it out on Spotify.
There you go. Check them out.
Yeah, Here to Stay.
And then Seven Sons.
And Seven Sons, yeah. More Seven Sons. Second Legacy is not playing. That was like 10 years ago. So Seven Sons, more relevant right now. So, yeah, so you got the album coming out November 8th. Are you guys going to be touring?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been so lucky. Like our first shows, we got to open for the Green and Alan Stone. And then
awesome.
Our third and fourth shows were with Maoli at the Blaisdell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. And then the next thing we have is coming up September, but we're planning a statewide like tour in November for the album release.
Cool.
Ending at the Republic on November 9th.
Okay. And so you guys are super new, right? Because I just remember seeing you guys maybe just a couple months ago.
I think our first song came out like 4 months ago or something.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
It's super exciting.
Starting something new, it's scary, but it's so exciting. It's funny. I mean, it's fun to build.
Yeah.
Yeah, to create.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, this is like, so, you kind of can want to just get to the end, but like when you look back, it's usually the beginning and like the little bit of a struggle and the unknown that you really reflect on and like, oh, that was a really special time.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been doing music for so long, like we're very appreciative for all the moments along the way. And every time we get to spend time making music together, we're just so grateful. So
yeah.
The
chase is always fun. The beginning is always fun, just like anything in life,
just
right?
Like a relationship.
Relationships, yeah. And it's always fun to reminisce. I remember how we first got started.
Yeah.
Even Jordan and I were like, I remember we started with a little GoPro, or before I met Jordan. It's like, I had a little GoPro on the windowsill at the radio station, and now we got our own studio with all this. So it's like, it's really fun to see like where you started and where you're at right now.
Totally. Do you have any interviewers that you like look up to?
Joe Rogan.
Okay, yeah.
So I based my podcast around 3 podcasts.
Okay.
It was Joe Rogan, the fact that he just like talks to anybody about anything, and he's really smart. Like people can have opinions about him, and most people don't like him because they see clips and they misunderstand the clips. They're like, oh, he's anti-vax, he hates certain things or whatever. It's like, no, he's just having these conversations. So that's why I model this after his podcast, where he would talk to anybody about anything, even if it's controversial. It's only controversial because it's a new perspective that nobody's thinking about, or people just don't want to hear. But if you actually watch the episode, you're like, wow, this is just great information. Whether it's true or not, that's on you to decide if it's true or not.
Because some people would say, oh, it's irresponsible to share information that could be harmful.
I get that all the time. They're like, this is such a harmful message. I'm just, they're just sharing a perspective about their lives. Like, how is, like, it's just all, how people receive it. We're all living in our own reality.
Sure.
So that one, and then Ologies. I like this
I love that show.
Yeah. So just kind of, she has like these cool takes on like certain
deep dives
stuff.
On very specific.
Yeah, and she like talks about her opening intros where she like just kind of fangirls about all her guests, and then the reviews just like she reads her reviews. So that's why once in a while when I get a new comment, I read my reviews because of Ologies. And then the fantasy footballers, it's a football podcast.
Okay, that one I don't know. But.
Yeah, so they're kind of how they model their stuff with certain segments and fan questions and whatever. So that's basically how I created this style of the podcast, because I listened to a lot of podcasts, and those 3 were the ones that I pulled from.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
musicians too. We all have our like favorites that we kind of pull stuff from and make our own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, that's what inspired me to do this podcast. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful combination.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I know it's funny because, some people see this as like the Joe Rogan of Hawaii.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I know you're a fan, so
I like it.
I know you like it. I know you like it, but yeah, there's a openness. I don't know. There's something about it that is not off-putting, where Joe Rogan can approach that area.
Mhm.
I haven't seen like or watched or listened to like his full things, but
Mhm.
I also appreciate that he is not dogmatic about stuff and he's open-minded to everything. Sometimes the stuff that he's open-minded to is like stupid, but like I give him credit. Like he's not coming in trying to dictate a perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's cool. I could see like the more like laid back Hawaii version of Joe Rogan. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think about his podcast, and like during the pandemic, he got a lot of heat and for having certain guests, and once in a while we get that too. Not so much recently, but like maybe last year, earlier this year. Certain clips and whatever, it goes viral, and the people who I guess more radical, they come at you, and
interesting.
I see it as like all the people coming at Joe for like the COVID stuff. I'm just like, that's kind of like me. But then a lot of people still love it.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that we have a solid following.
I mean, it's also good to not just be in your own echo chamber, and to hear different perspectives. And if you disagree, that's okay. You don't have to write to him if you disagree.
Exactly. I know that's the thing. It's like, why are people really that bored where it's just like, I do not like this?
I mean, there's a few times I've posted either politically or like for support of certain movements, and people it's not a lot, but some people are just like, shut up and play music. I don't come here for that. And I'm like, I'm a human being and I have opinions.
I know.
And like, what a beautiful country we live in that we can disagree. And sometimes you can do that little alchemy where you send them back something really nice and they are like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have said that to you. Instead of going, because initially you're like, you know what? But
kill them with kindness.
Keep
it low.
Be an example. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's take a quick shishi break and we'll be right back with social media fan questions. What if we told you the next 3 times you fill your tank, you could save money? Well, at Texaco in Hawaii, it's true. You can get $1 off per gallon on your next 3 visits when you download the Texaco app and join Texaco Rewards. Earn points on every fuel transaction and qualifying in-store purchases at participating Texaco stations. Download the app and join to get started today. Visit TexacoHawaii.com for details. All right, we're back from a quick shishi break. Let's get right into our social media fan questions. I wanted to start off with this one, maybe set the tone for these questions.
Okay.
Sam DeCarlo 27 says, you know who this person is?
I know this fool.
He says, ask him to give you his best chihu.
Okay, so Sam DeCarlo, I love you, Sam. Sam is a tour manager for Brett Young.
Oh, okay.
And the very first shows of when I was officially on tour with them happened to be here in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Or like randomly, because he's been starting his year off playing here. Mm-hmm. So we came out and I was trying to explain to these he's from Illinois, and these guys like what a chihu is and like the yeehaw and the chihu. Oh, yeah. And he couldn't remember, so he would come up to me and just make these weird noises because he couldn't remember what the chihu. He'd be like, yeah, or like, yeah. It was like it was the worst. So we've been working on his chihu over the past year and a half, and it's improved greatly. Okay. But yeah.
Oof, that's
sorry,
good.
Guys.
Solid,
sorry,
right to the point.
Yeah.
Some people listening with AirPods, just your eardrum just busted.
Just throw their AirPods.
We didn't give them a fair warning.
I did push the microphone away.
Yeah. But if they weren't watching, they don't know.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
I saw the girl Peyton Sullivan.
Yeah.
She's trying to get the chi-ha going. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Because they got the chi-hu and they got the yeehaw. So chi-ha.
Chi-ha. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So I thought it was super, super cool that.
I'll try and get that going in Nashville when I go back.
Yeah. Chi-ha. All right. Next question comes from VW Gwen WV. This person says, what is your go-to karaoke song? What song gets you on the dance floor?
This is, I need to come up with a better one because I haven't done karaoke in a long time. But it was, my friends know this because we'd go into like, when we'd be hanging out, going to these bars, they would be, oh, you got to sing something. I'm like, oh man. I would sing Hello from Lionel Richie, which is the least exciting, most slow, sad.
I don't know that song. I only know Hello from Adele.
Yeah. No, I don't know why I ended up on that because I think it was like one where like I knew I could hit the notes. So let me work on that.
Okay.
And come back with a better one.
In 3 to 5 business days. All right. And then what song gets you on the dance floor?
I tell you what song I like to pop on in the morning that gets me like moving. It's Green and Gold from Leanne LaHavis.
I don't know that song either.
Look it up. It's a little like mid-tempo groove.
Green and Gold?
Green and Gold, okay. Yeah. I love her. She's one of my favorite voices ever.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Leanne LaHavis.
Speaking of favorite voices, Avadada asks, favorite local artist of all time?
Oh man, I don't like these ones where you have to pick one thing.
You could go with a top 3 or 5.
Okay,
that's easier. In no order, no particular order.
So I would say like the main people that I grew up that influenced me was like, I mean, Feej is the OG, man. For sure. Kyle Critter Boys was big for me. John Cruz. Also loved like Julio Hanna and Dennis Pavao and all that stuff. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of people. Those are like formative.
That's a solid group. Yeah. I really want to get Fiji on the podcast. He follows us and he likes to post. And I message him and he says, I don't know what it is.
One day.
Or something. I don't know what he says. Cousin, son, or however he calls young kids. Brother. I don't know what he says, but so one day.
Someday. Yeah, someday. Come on, Fiji.
Yeah. We'd have to go to him though. We'd have to like find like a specific location or
yeah.
You
know, when it comes to the OG, man, you go to him.
Exactly. Yeah. Just tell me place and time.
Yeah.
We'll be there. Yeah. Okay. Next question comes from iColor May. This person says, how is his happiness level? He's so great.
Hi, May. My happiness level is pretty high. Yeah. It's exciting with the new band project. And, I mean, quite honestly, it is also requires a leap of faith because like I jumped off of my main gig. So it is a little bit like, oh shoot, I'm back to like hustling shows, and you just kind of go like, I'm not quite sure like how I'm gonna pay the rent next few months, but like, and then these shows start popping up and the universe provides. So I'm like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, you got to help me get through this. And so far so good, but it does require a level of faith that things will work out. So.
And craziness.
And
good kind of crazy.
I guess so. Yeah, people are always like, they have their regular jobs or corporate jobs and they're like really like, oh, I wish I could travel and just play music. And I'm like, are you willing to like not know how much money you're going to make this year and how you're going to pay your rent in the next 3 months? Because it's a trade-off,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You trade that structure for freedom.
Yeah. And stability and yeah.
But it's great. It's that adrenaline always gets you going. Yeah. Okay, next question comes from Yunha_O_. This person says, Justin, what has been one of your core memories so far as an artist/creator?
I would say core memories. Well, I mean, even just as recently as when we opened for the Green with the new band, like there's a song that we just released called Faded. And when I wrote it, I had in my mind like, oh, this will be the song that someday we'll close our shows with and people will put their flashlights on and do this whole thing. And like, I was not expecting that to happen on our first shows. No one heard the song, and just on their own, they just like lit up their lights. And I think it was a moment for all of us to go like, oh, wow, we actually made something real. Because first, it's hard to start a project when it's just conceptual, and everyone has to still like work, and we have an idea, and we're all like doing it on our off time and trying to figure it out, and then to see it like actually come into something tangible and into a moment that was really special. Cool. I had a cool moment in Paris. We had gone to, I was playing with Colbie, and we flew to play Manu Katché. He's like an amazing drummer. He hosts this music show, and she was a guest on it. We were like all sleep deprived, and I was backstage, they so warming up, and I was singing one of my originals, and I turned the corner, and shoot, what is his name? A tall bass player. Shit, played on D'Angelo's record.
No music.
Somebody help me.
Maybe Josh.
Josh
might know. They don't know.
And we cut this part out.
French guy, Victor Wembanyama.
No, he's Welsh. He played bass on Voodoo. Crap, I'll think of his name.
Okay.
Anyway, I was like turning the corner, and Hugh came out of his room, and he was like, I was like, holy crap. And he was like, oh, me and my wife just heard you playing that. We had to come out and see who was playing the song. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, oh, wow. Like, one of my musical idols just popped his head out. I've also got to tour with David Ryan Harris, who is like my ultimate, and not a lot of people maybe know him, but he's an incredible songwriter and singer, and he's played with John Mayer for 20 years. But I just love his music so much, and we've become friends, and I've got to tour, just the two of us, and go on tours together and watch his shows every night, and open for him. That was super special.
Awesome. Yeah. Really amazing experiences.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, next question comes from Felipe Vanucci. This person says, how was working with Colbie and doing concerts for so many years?
It's great. I mean, I really it was actually the first time I'd been complimented on my stage presence was when I joined her band, because I was always like people were always like, oh yeah, you sound good, but you're I think like you got shot in the stomach. But I think like being able to perform the role as support with the guitar was way more natural for me, and getting to play these wonderful songs, and she's great. Her bands were always great. And to be able to travel the world and have these incredible experiences like the White House and meeting the Obamas, and we got to play at Soldier Field for a Bears game.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pino Palladino.
Oh, Pino Palladino.
That's his name. Okay. We got there.
That's funny. I was gonna make a joke about the Bears, but that's fine.
Oh no, let me hear the Bears joke.
Oh no, I was just gonna say something about like soldiers. I don't even know what it was. I was just gonna say something. I don't know what it was. I was thinking of it.
There's always a Bears joke.
Yeah, coming. Exactly. It's not too hard. But shout out to Pino Palladino. We won't ruin that moment with a bad Bears joke. Next question comes from one of our Patreon supporters, Ray Sensei. This person says, when are you coming home to San Diego?
Ray, what's up, man? We would love to get some Seven Sun shows on the books on the West Coast, but it'll probably be towards the beginning of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which isn't too far.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Like, I might be coming through with Jake Shimabukuro in December, but so maybe I'll see you then, Ray.
Cool. Okay, next question comes from Jerry_Salamante. This person says, with your obligation to Brett Young now fulfilled, will you be moving back to Hawaii for Seven Sons?
Ooh, a lot of people ask if I'm moving home now. Not moving back. Yeah, I mean, I had to be in Nashville for the Brett gig. Now I finally like have some freedom of choice of where I want to live, but I think ideally I would move closer and to a city that has a direct flight. But I don't know. I think now too, like I have two geriatric dogs that I share with Colbie, and she's in Nashville. So I don't know that I would move away with them at this point. So I'll probably wait it out for a bit and just suck it up taking the 12-hour trip home. Yeah.
Do you
For
want to
now.
settle down in Hawaii, or do you like living away and then having this as like your safe haven to come
I
back?
kind of like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never had the desire to move back
Mhm.
permanently. But again, I've been privileged to come back every couple months. I think
Mhm.
the longest I've been away is like 8 months or something like
Oh, okay,
that.
not too
Yeah.
bad.
So I never say never.
Mhm.
Yeah. But for
Okay.
now, I think I probably just want to move closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would you like to be if you could be anywhere in the world?
I lived in Santa Barbara for a year. I loved it there. It was just so expensive. So
Yeah.
there's some places in California that I would love to live if money was no object. um, yeah, that'd probably be the first choice.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I watched a little bit of the It's a Hawaii thing with
Oh yeah,
Brooke
yeah.
and Lanai. And
Yep.
they were talking about Santa Barbara.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, there's pretty girls in Santa Barbara. I remember that part.
That's true.
Okay, next question comes from Rachel Visa Cox. This person says, one thing you would leave with up and coming artists trying to make a name for themselves.
Okay, let's see. I mean, we kind of touched on this a little bit ago during our break, but I read a book called The Talent Code and The Tipping Point, I think. Wait. No, what was the Malcolm Gladwell book where he talks about the 10,000 hours? Anyway, one of the Malcolm Gladwell books, Outliers.
Oh, nice.
Outliers. And I used to think like, oh, my voice is just limited by how I was born. And like, I'm just not gonna be able to hit those notes, or I'm not gonna be great at this or that. And then I really believe like talent is like 90%, 99% earned.
Mhm.
So, and that mindset is really helpful because you realize you're not like fixed at a certain level of ability. Like you can always get better and grow. And so I think if I had known that earlier, that would be great. So I would just say like you can look at people that are like incredible at what they do. I haven't really ran into somebody who's mastered their craft that hasn't spent an incredible amount of time practicing, and even if it didn't look like practice, like they grew up in the church singing from when they're small, or there's all these examples of like the Beatles and how they became great doing these like 7-hour long gigs on summers, and Bill Gates having like happened to be at a place that had like one of the first colleges that had access to computers, and like all these strange coincidences that gave opportunity, that gave people the amount of time and ability to become great at something. So I really feel like most times it's easy to go like, oh, you're so lucky you were born with that gift. But like when you really like dig into it, it's like, no, they spent their deep practice, whether it was called practice or not,
Mhm.
becoming great. And then I would say just also like figure out who you are and just lean into that. And because I've spent a lot of time too, like trying to figure out like who to imitate, or like what was popular, or and then I think somebody who's really like comfortable being who they are and leaning into the uniqueness that they are, even if it seems like counterintuitive, like that's always an attractive thing that people always gravitate towards. So think about like what makes you unique in your creative process and the way that you express yourself,
Mhm.
and lean more into that.
Authenticity.
Yeah,
Yeah, people love it.
yeah.
And yeah, going back to the talent, hard work, lucky stuff. I always believe, luck is when hard preparation meets opportunity. So it's like, yeah, we see the result of like, oh, here you're on stage
Yep.
singing in front of people. You don't see all the hard work, the preparation that you had to do before getting that opportunity. Because you could even say Brett Young calls you up on stage, and if you don't know how to sing, if you weren't practicing, you're not gonna
Yeah.
take advantage of the opportunity. So
Yeah, I mean
know?
it's weird. Like even the Colbie gig, I was like, I'm not like a great musician, but I grew up playing ukulele. I play rhythm guitar, and I sang falsetto a lot growing up too. And they were like, we need somebody that can play ukulele guitar and sing like a girl. And I was like, oh, I'm uniquely qualified for this gig. I'm right here. And then the Brett Young thing too. Like I took piano lessons growing up, and I'm not a great keyboard player, but I play enough. And they needed someone who could sing, play keys and guitar. And I was like, oh, That I could do. Yeah. I can't do a lot of things, but those are a couple of things that I happen to be able to do.
It's like these little mini Slumdog Millionaire moments, right? Where
Exactly.
everything you did in life leads up to that one moment.
But you didn't know it
exactly.
until that moment.
Yeah. We all get Mr. Miyagi somewhere in life.
Mr. Miyagi.
Okay. Next question comes from the same person. She left a couple good questions.
Great.
I wanted to read them all. For people who can't get to Hawaii, what's something in the 48 that we can experience that's closest to experiencing something in Hawaii?
Oh. Well, you can find people from Hawaii and be around them.
First of all, you take a flight, you go to Las Vegas, you go to Henderson, Nevada, and then
a California hotel.
You go to a California hotel. You listen for anybody saying, cheap.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, my first initial response would just be like, you can recreate things and like, I don't know, be by the ocean. There's just like, the air feels different here.
Yeah.
Getting off of the plane, there's just no place like it. But like, I think it's fun to, like, when I was coming up, you'd play a lot of like luau shows for the Hawaii clubs. And those are some of my favorite shows because it was like students that were like away for the first time, really missing home and being able to celebrate what they grew up with. And they really appreciated anything from back home. And so, I don't know, go to a Hawaiian music concert.
Yeah, find the local artist playing wherever you're at.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, next question comes from the same person. She says, okay, last one, LOL. Favorite Hawaiian meal? What's your first meal / thing you eat after a show?
First thing I eat after a show?
Yeah.
Well, I have a weird diet. Like, I'm a gluten-free pescatarian, and I try to eat plant-based as much as I can. So, like, my favorite things to eat aren't always on an option. But, well, my favorite thing to eat when I come back, and I've actually been trying to eat less of this, but squid luau. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to.
Why would you ever eat less of it?
Well, because I watched, I try to eat plant-based, and I watched my octopus teacher.
Yeah.
And so I used to eat like octopus all the time. And I'm like, I can't eat that anymore. And then I'm like, well, octopus eats squid, but I'm trying to be, So when I'm at home, I try to like, recreate dishes because I like the taste of meat. I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, I find it disgusting. And I'm like, no, I dream about eating meat. It's the best. It was my favorite part of every meal. But and I do get a good bit of poke when I'm home. But, but yeah, nice. I try to eat mostly plant-based stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Super cool. And what was the decision for that?
I love animals. And I always felt like if I really was like making food choices based on my values, because I wouldn't be able to kill anything to eat it. And then I read the book Eating Animals, and that really kind of like changed it for me. And like, I don't even think, for me, the argument doesn't have to be made like there's anything intrinsically wrong with eating animals because some of them eat each other, not all of them, some of them do. But the way that the food industry has sort of made this perverse system of cruelty, like I don't want to be contributing my money to that. And if I can eat and be healthy and not cause suffering, then I'd just rather do that. And it can be hard sometimes, and I'm not always perfect with it, but I think it's kind of fun to have an opportunity to like make a choice based on your values at every meal, and it's a good exercise because it's a muscle,
Totally. Yeah, I have friends who are vegan or vegetarian, and they always have great reasons like that. It makes you think a little bit more about what you're putting into your body, and also the way you buy things. Even going to like shampoo and soap. Like I have a vegan friend who like he only buys certain soaps that's like cruelty free. It's very specific and like stuff you don't even think about. You're just like, I'm gonna get this deodorant, and you don't realize there's like all these poisonous stuff, or the way it was made is unethical. It's crazy.
I think it's just like to be more thoughtful about the choices you make, and I think it's like most people, if they knew the cruelty that existed in factory farms, like nobody would be for that, right? Like, and yeah, if you can get your meat humanely raised and like from a farm, like in the book, which makes a case for veganism, but like he is just on a search himself to figure out what is the best way to eat because he just had a kid. And some of the heroes of the book are the small farmers who really do love their animals, but they're going out of business and their meat's going to have to be way more expensive than what you can get in the supermarket, you know? So it's like, I don't think it's a black or white thing. And I'm not like one of those judgmental, like preachy people, but this is for me. Cause I mean, hey, if you hunt and kill your food and bring it, that's probably better than, but I couldn't do that. So
yeah, totally. You just live life however you want to live life.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question comes from Sir Heartline. This person says, you've accomplished so much with your music. What is your next goal or aspiration?
Thanks for that. You know, I just want to like make music with people that I enjoy being around. I think that's kind of the goal, or make things like I've even narrowed the vision to like, it doesn't have to be music. It can be anything. I just know that I'm happier when I'm being creative. And if I can make things that are helping the world in a way, I don't care what they are. But you know, when you can do some stuff to pay the bills that's not fulfilling. You can, you know, spend your time backing artists, and it doesn't really feel like you're really contributing much other than you're kind of replaceable and you're just kind of doing the same thing. Like I would hopefully be able to just create things with people that I care about that can be positive. So, I mean, I know it's really broad in general, but at this point, you know, when you're young, you're like, oh, I want to win Grammys and I want to be a, you know, famous singer or whatever. I don't care. I just want to be creative and make good things.
And go home to your dogs.
And go home to my dogs. Exactly.
Yeah. Life gets a lot more simple as
Yeah.
you get, or the wants and desires get a lot more simple as you get older.
They should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mahalo everybody for the social media fan questions. Make sure you leave some for our next guest, and maybe your question will make it on the podcast. Okay. I'd like to ask all of my guests the same question when we come to this point of the podcast about keeping it aloha. It's the name of the show. So I'd like to know, in your life, how do you keep it aloha?
I think for me, it's when I feel it and when I try and give it, it's a generosity and an openness and a warmth and an acceptance that's not transactional. That's not like contingent on something in return. And I think that is a beautiful thing about this place. That is, I mean, it's not uniquely Hawaii, but it is something that I feel is a big part of the way that we live. And we were talking about a little earlier too, like it's so wonderful to find people from here on the continent because you immediately have that connection and you feel that spirit. And I know, like, even when I was doing music, I was like not doing island music, and I would do like R&B stuff, like a set of stuff, and I'd come off and they go like, oh, I knew you're from Hawaii from your music. And I'm like, how? And I just realized like, oh, it's just embedded in what I do because it's who I am and where I'm from. And I think it's a really special thing. But yeah, I think for me, it's like this altruistic expression of kindness and generosity.
I love that. Yeah. Awesome. And also your tattoos, kind of.
I have a bear's tattoo, which is...
Oh, really? Where? How does he?
This is my first one.
Oh, cool. It's pretty subtle too.
Yeah.
You don't really...
I didn't want to be an obnoxious bear's tattoo.
Yeah, it just blends in with the rest of the tribal.
Yeah, I can hide it.
Yeah. How old were you when you got your first tattoo?
See, it was 2006 because it was the year the Bears went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Colts.
Oh, with Rex Grossman.
Yeah, well, you remember, yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like I was like, I had no tattoos, and I was like, if the Bears go to the Super Bowl, I'm getting a Bears tattoo.
That was the Devin Hester kickoff return. Oh, that was so good.
Talk about expectations being raised and then crushed after that kickoff.
Oh, so that's when you first started like really watching?
No. Oh, I watched from like way back. That was like, I couldn't like it. But that was my first tattoo because I was like,
because of that.
Yeah. Because I was like, I had no tattoos. I was like, if the Bears go to the Super Bowl this year, I'm getting a tattoo. No one expected them to go, and they went. So I got that first tattoo.
If they had a better quarterback, they would have won.
Yeah,
because their defense was so good.
100%.
That was when Brian Urlacher was still playing, right? And Lance Briggs.
They had one. Yeah, that defense was crazy.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Rex is our quarterback. Is the quote that kept going.
Who was the receivers during that time?
That's a great question.
I can't even remember because their offense was so bad.
Is it Musim Muhammad, like that era?
Really?
I don't know. We never had. This is the best receiver group we've ever had right now.
I mean,
crazy.
DJ Moore got the biggest contract
of
ever
Bears
for
history. Yeah.
So
DJ Keenan, Rome, like, come on.
Yeah, and you guys got DeAndre Swift.
Yep. Yeah.
No.
Are you a fantasy football guy? You must be, because
I know all the people.
I can't do fantasy. My friend forced me one year, and I just picked a bunch of Bears, and then I just like stopped paying attention.
See, I try not to take any Saints because I'm a Saints fan. Okay. Because you can't think emotionally.
But then you end up rooting, like, some of your people are playing against your team, and you're like, well, I want my team to win, but I want this guy to score a touchdown.
Exactly.
Like,
it gets really stressful and confusing. And like, I had 6 leagues last year, and it was just it was so hard. And then you have like one league, you have a guy that you need to get this amount of points, but that same guy can't get more than like 18 points, or you're gonna lose the other league, and you're just like trying to root for different things. So you're just like, oh. Yeah, so I try to get as many of the same people
on each roster,
on each team, but it's really hard depending on your draft position.
I'm not built for fantasy football, but I love talking to people because they know about all the teams. So they're you can talk Bears with me, even though you're not a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I played Madden a lot growing up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So that's why I knew all that. I would also do not the fantasy drafts where you could draft anybody, or you make your own teams.
Oh yeah.
So I'd always get like Lance Briggs, Brian Urlacher, because he was like cheaper or whatever, but Lance Briggs, but he was like one of the best. Yeah.
Shout out Olin Kreutz.
And Olin Kreutz? Yeah, from Hawaii.
From Hawaii. Center. Long time Bear. Ran that locker room. Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, this is actually a great segue into my disclaimer that I should have done a couple episodes ago, but by the time you're watching this, football season would have already started. So if you see a dip in production quality, any quality of the podcast, maybe late post, maybe I'm just not as happy one day when we're recording, it's because football season has started. So if it's a great episode, I'm in a really good mood. My fantasy team has done well. If I'm not, probably a bad fantasy day. So I tell people like this, okay? So like you could have a good day, but a bad fantasy day, that's a bad day.
Oh, wow.
You could have a bad day, a good fantasy football day, good day.
Yeah.
If you have a bad day and a bad fantasy football day, check in on me, please. Check in on all the people. If you have a good day and a good fantasy football day, amazing.
Wow.
Like you can't have a better day than that. So that's how I break it down.
I feel like you might need professional help because this is like dictating your moods.
You're
to a degree.
Right. I should reach out to a professional football analyst to help me understand the stats a little bit.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
That's what you meant,
That's what
right?
I meant. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah. Maybe somebody who's like a professional gambler, like an addict or something that like looks at all the stats and can try to tell me who they predict is going to win this game, and that'll dictate who I'm going to put in as my starters.
How many podcasts do you listen to that are just for fantasy football?
Recently, like last week, I listened to like 4 different fantasy football podcasts to prepare for my drafts.
Well, I'm glad you're prepared.
Yeah.
Because like I said, preparation will help mitigate anxiety.
Exactly. So it's hard now because I have to listen back to these episodes and timestamp it. So I'm just like, can I squeeze in an extra hour in my day to listen to this fantasy football podcast? It's
very important.
When I got to spend like 3 hours timestamping this podcast. So sometimes I have to be disciplined. Like the last couple of days, I couldn't listen to the fantasy football podcast because I had to do other stuff. So life is hard is what I'm saying.
Why don't you just do your own fantasy football podcast?
No, see, people say that, but I'm just like, I would just be saying the exact same things these other podcasts are saying because I just kind of follow what they do. Yeah. So I wouldn't be adding anything new.
Gotcha.
Plus, I mean, this is enough as well.
This is enough.
Yeah.
You need your free time to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. So, sorry to the fans. Sorry to my girlfriend. She already gave her heads up. This is going to be our first football season spent together. So,
girls that I've dated, I'm like, because I'm like so much of a Bears fan. I have to like, if there's a Bears game on, like I have to, I've canceled flights. I've like, or if like I have a show or I'm traveling and I can't watch it, I won't go anywhere near a TV until I can watch the game, which is very disruptive.
Yes.
But I'm like, do you know that other guys watch every single football game that's on all the time? And I just have one team that has like 16, 17 games, you know, like you should like this is
Not
put it
bad.
in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what you guys, here's another life hack, okay? Tell your girlfriends, your partners, whatever, whoever it is, that you'll watch football on Sundays, maybe Mondays and Thursdays, but you'll skip Tuesday night football, you'll skip Wednesday night football, and you'll skip Friday night football to hang out with them.
But not Monday night football.
Not Monday night football. Tuesday night football, I told my girlfriend I'll skip every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not Thursday.
Not Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays up until like playoffs.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's unless your girlfriend's a football fan, and then she's gonna see right through that.
I know. I already said that to my girlfriend. She's like, "Is there football on Tuesdays?" I was like, "Yeah. I skip it just for you."
Just pull out the NFL Network on one of the replays.
Yeah,
and go, see,
exactly. See, I told you.
I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
You got it all figured out, man. That's great.
I love sports. Like, so there's certain things I know I love in life: friends, family, sports.
Yeah.
And I got to a point a couple years ago where I couldn't focus if I was out doing things. I would be on my phone having to watch. I just like my mind will keep thinking like I want to check my fantasy scores. I want to watch the game. So like now I plan my life around football. You know, some people have stuff that they love. They love surfing. They love playing music. They love golfing. You know, so it's just like one day out of the week where the entire day I just want to do it. Some people love shopping. Some people love other things. So this is my thing that I like to do.
Is it just football?
It's just football.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I watched all the other sports, MMA, basketball, but not as religiously.
Yeah.
But yeah, football, like I need to be on my phone. I need to have my computer, my phone, the TV. Now I have an iPad, so I have like
all the screens.
Yeah, and I got to rotate between all my different leagues to see so it's a lot. Yeah.
Well, you better rest up. The regular season's coming up.
I'm so excited. I got a couple of drafts this week. I just had one yesterday.
Right.
We went, my girlfriend's birthday just passed.
Happy birthday, Faith.
Faith, yes.
Faith,
oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a family barbecue Saturday. I left that to do a draft, came back. Her birthday was Sunday, so I just only her. I didn't do anything. Yesterday, I had another
Good thing
draft.
it wasn't during the regular season.
It wasn't, exactly. I'm like, sorry. I had a regular draft, just online though, with some of my friends. So we went to High Steakhouse, this really nice place in Waikiki. I'm like driving, picking up people. I have one headphone and she's holding my phone. And I'm just like, I'm with my brother in this league and he's like telling me, okay, Romo Dunze was just picked. Okay, Michael Pittman was just picked. And I was like, okay. And I'm telling her, okay, Ken, make sure you draft no, not Alvin Kamara. I'm tanked there or whatever it is.
So she's helping.
She's helping.
That's awesome.
And then we get to the place. I'm still on my draft. We've never been to this place. This place is so nice. There's like people like standing greeting you. And I have one AirPod on my phone. Like we sit down and I'm just like looking at it. They're like, you ready to order? And I'm like, I'm barely tuned into their conversation. But luckily our waiter Chris, shout out to Chris, he was so awesome. He watches fantasy. He does fantasy too.
He gets
He got it. He watches the podcast too.
Oh, nice.
So he was cool. So yeah, shout out to Chris. But that's just an example of how into fantasy football I am.
Let me know if you end up drafting any Bears.
I did not.
Well, don't you have more drafts coming up or no?
I do. Then they're not on my radar.
Okay, fine. Maybe in the later rounds.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm rooting for Caleb Williams.
Sure.
I'm rooting for Rome Odunze because my friend is a UW alumni, so I like Rome. I like Keenan Allen.
Cole Kmet could get you
maybe late round tight end. I might stream him here and there, but I'm not really high on any of them because it's like you have those three great options. I don't know who to choose.
Right.
So it's not like I don't like them. It's like I don't know.
There's not like a clear person who's going to get fed the ball.
It's
There's a lot of a rookie quarterback.
Exactly.
A new offensive scheme.
Yeah. So rooting for them.
I
trying to be more.
It's fine. You lose all your fantasy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
If you lose your championship, don't just remember this. Yeah, could have had a Bears. Yeah, they're like what is this saying? Like spoil of riches or something. Like
which is a weird thing for a Bears fan to
know, right?
even say.
Never heard that before.
I mean, if you looked at our receiver roster over the past 20 years, people, Fields had to throw to. It was rough. But.
So that being said, welcome to the Keep It Aloha Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by Kamako co-host Justin Kawika Young,
who doesn't even do fantasy.
Tune in every Friday for our special bonus episodes of the Keep It Aloha Fantasy Football Edition. All right, moving on. Thank you for bearing with us.
Oh, wow. Nice. There's a dad joke.
At this point of your life, you've done a lot, you've traveled a lot, you've experienced a lot. What would you say you're most proud of?
I think, some of the stuff that I'm most proud of making, like the Back to the Blue album and the movie, it wasn't like, I've told people, like younger artists, this too, like we have really good metrics to see like how many people are streaming your song like immediately, but which is super helpful. And maybe this is what like the person who says who's not a lot of people streaming their music, but like you can't measure the depth of your reach, only the like how wide it is. So it doesn't tell the story of like the way that you're actually affecting someone's life. And like I said, not a lot of people have seen the movie, but I've had someone come up and say, like, a friend of mine who I met was like, I only heard about you because my therapist recommended that I watch your movie, and it really helped with my seeing my relationship with my parents, or like people like there's a song Grateful on my album where I've had multiple people say like, it was my dad was at the end of his life and we listened to the song every day, and we're gonna play it at his funeral, and so like just stuff like that. Where it may not be like millions of people listening, but just to know like a handful of people like to have made something that really impacted them, because that's what like music and really good documentaries have done for me. So to be a part of that continuum in a way, I think I'm most proud of that. Yeah. And I think like to be able to speak to the experience of being away from home has been a theme for people, those of us who have left, and to be able to make music that was helpful for people to get through their homesickness.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know how many people you're going to affect, how you're going to affect them.
And it might just be 2 or 3, but it might be in a profound way. And like, how do you quantify that compared to like a million people that just put you on in the background while they're at a party? Like, what's more valuable? It's hard to say.
Did your mom teach you that at all, maybe?
I mean, sure, she tried to, but it's, I mean, something too, like you have to like come to when you look at like, what success means, as you get older, trying to define that for yourself. But my mom was wonderful and definitely instilled wonderful things in me. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I asked that because in the Peace Corps, that's like a common theme where you're just like, you feel this guilt sometimes of like you're not doing enough because you don't see immediate results a lot of times, and you're working with minimal resources, and so they tell us you don't know how you're gonna affect people until maybe even later, where it's like 10 years later, maybe a student says like, I learned English, or I got into college, or I got this job because of you, I came to America, or I wanted to be this person because of you. So
no, that's exactly the same. And I still hear from my mom's former students. She worked at Blanche Polk, Wamanalo, Caillat Elementary, and Kohuku. And I'll still get like social media, like, oh, Miss Jan was my guidance counselor, and like, oh, she was the best teacher and helped me so much. And so maybe her example, maybe I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, well, I'm just making music when my mom actually like helped children directly, but you never know.
It's a different kind of help.
It's a different kind.
Because even for me, because I get people come up to me and thank me, and I just had somebody cry for the first at Made in Hawaii Festival. I think it's Delisa. I think she watches it. Shout out to you. She was crying because she was saying she was moving here and she would listen to the podcast, and it really helped her because she wanted to be a respectful guest here, and I think maybe she's going to college. And another guy I met, he wrote a dissertation, his master's or whatever, dissertation about one of the topics that we talked about.
Oh, wow.
On the podcast. So like those things, like you just never know like how you're affecting people. It's crazy.
And like this podcast helps me feel connected to home too when I'm away, because I don't live here, but I feel like I still have a connection to the people here and everything that you share. So I mean, yeah, I'm sure you do that for a lot of people.
Oh, mahalo. I mean, it's cool because your song helped me, and now I'm paying it back.
Yes, yes. Full circle.
Yeah, I love that. That's so awesome. Okay. So what are your, 5, 10, 15-year plans? What's like the end game? Like we know you're doing your 7 sons, you got your doggies, but like what's the life path here?
I mean, well, I would love to be able to do Seven Sons for the next 10, 15 years or forever, because that is a dream thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of putting all my intention and trying to imagine being able to travel the world with these guys and make people happy with our music, lift each other up, lift people up. And being around nature and being around
Mm-hmm.
animals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of creating. Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Sounds like
man.
a good life. Simple life.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you really spiritual?
That's a good question.
Because you seem real in tune with yourself, very curious and very introspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
curious.
think no, that's true. Those observations. I think I was always that way since I was a young kid, and always was interested in learning about stuff and being curious. And this experience that we're having, and what is it, and what does it mean, and the meaning of things. Yeah.
Is life a simulation?
Yeah,
Like that.
exactly. Player one.
Yeah. Are we all just, was it NPCs?
Yeah. That's another whole thing. Yeah.
Do you have any conspiracy theories that you believe in or you've heard of? That's a super random question.
Yeah, no.
Now we're getting to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, now we're really Joe Rogan.
Do you believe in aliens? Who built the pyramids?
Well, not crazy stuff, just
Was
lizard
COVID
people.
created in a lab?
Yeah. While I'm skeptical, I'm a skeptical nature about certain things, and I do I mean, the government has done, we know, terrible things, the Tuskegee experiment, all kinds of redlining and things that have, but I, for the most part, for a lot of the conspiracy theories, and maybe this is a wrong application of this theory, but Occam's razor, the simplest path is usually the one that it is. And a lot of times I'm just I look at it and go that's possible, but it's also just possible that it was just this and this. So, yeah, while I'm not somebody who just believes everything that they're fed, I am pretty skeptical. A lot of especially these days, I think.
Yeah, with so much
so
content
many.
being put out.
So I am also quite fascinated on why it appeals so much to people, and what it is that I also just for the most part, while I know people are motivated by certain things and you can draw a straight line, it's usually money or whatever. Most people are intrinsically good to the point where do I don't think that our entire government would collaborate in 9/11 and have all these innocent people die. I just don't think that is. Yes, they ended up serving certain people's interests because they used it that way. I believe that, but I don't. So if I think for the most part, I believe in the intrinsic good nature of people, although you can usually look at their behavior and trace it to some incentive that they have as well. So, yeah, no, I'm not a big conspiracy person, but I mean, I listen to stuff and take everything into consideration.
Nice. Yeah. Have you read I'm going to guess you read the Four Agreements.
I haven't read it, but I've heard of the book.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
I think you'd love that book.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I never have it, so you know. Oh, yeah, you'd love that book. That's the book that I always suggest everybody to read. This rules to live your life by. And then they have the Fifth Agreement, which I just mentioned a couple episodes ago, where the Fifth Agreement is be skeptical, but listen. And I feel like that matches you.
Yeah. I can't remember whose quote this one is, but it's don't be judgmental, be curious.
Oh, yeah. But, Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Well, I think he got that from someone
Walter, not Walter White.
Somewhere. I don't know.
Well, because it's from...
Breaking Bad?
No, it's Walter. I think about it because that author was in Breaking Bad. So it's Walter something. But yeah, he says, be curious. Whitman. Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
And then in the Ted Lasso episode, he mentions that in one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
And that is kind of like your podcast.
It's exactly. Yeah. Something that inspires me is that quote. Totally. Be curious, not judgmental.
So yes, I think a lot of times I try and approach things that way. I mean, it's a very heated time to have discussions about stuff, so sometimes it's easier just to avoid it. But I also am curious, like even though I don't agree with you, I'm curious to why you came to that conclusion and what your
Yes.
thoughts are, because generally we agree on what we want in life. We just look at things differently, and so
Yeah, that's what it's like the first thing my mind goes to when I see all these people on social media. Like, why are you so mad?
yeah.
Who hurt you?
Yeah. Do you need a hug?
Yeah, exactly.
I try and think of that when somebody like pisses me off or like sticks their finger out the car or whatever, and I'm like, my initial reaction is like, what the? And I'm like, you know what? I really would just respond is like, do you need a hug?
Yeah,
because you're having a bad day.
Yeah. I judge them, but I'm also more curious. Like if somebody cuts you off and you're like, why did they do that? And then they have to go all the way to this lane. Like, okay, so that's why they were in a rush. They're trying to get to the lane.
Who knows what they
got
going on.
So it wasn't like a personal thing. They really just needed to go there. So that I think where the curiosity part comes in. So I think you can be curious and judgmental.
Sure.
But I think the goal is to be curious, not judgmental.
Well, it's just the goal also just to not just be judgmental.
But it's hard because as humans, we're judgmental by nature.
Right.
We always have our judgments. I think we just don't express them.
Which serves us, I guess, because our brain...
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, and then we had categorized things and like, oh, that looks like this, so it must be this.
Yeah.
So...
Exactly.
But yeah, we can fight against our nature for better things.
Yeah. Also, we're not supposed to be comfortable in life. If we're talking about being primitive and our biological senses, like we're built for discomfort, for survival, not for comfort. So that's why I think we get a little too complacent, comfortable in life, and we stop learning, we stop growing. So
I will definitely appreciate the hot water in my shower when I go back to my hotel, especially after hearing your stories.
Yeah, everybody go do a cold plunge once in your life, and then you know how it feels. Would you ever do the Peace Corps?
I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it. I mean, I think the idea of like young people spending time like serving other people is a great way to embark on your adulthood, And I've never met anybody that regretted the experience, I definitely thought about it. My career path just kind of like went where it went. And so I never really, took 2 years off to go do that. But
yeah, it's a big commitment. Yeah. That's why most people do it like after college.
Yeah.
But there's no age limit. People do it when they're retired.
Maybe I'll do it someday.
Yeah. It'd be cool. I think about going back. It's hard for me to leave here because all my work is here.
Yep.
But I've had dreams recently in the last couple of months of me being back in the Peace Corps, just thinking about like the amount of times I think about just like doing all this good and just leaving, just disappearing.
Yeah.
One day maybe.
We'll all be here when you get back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll have more things to share, more stuff for your book.
Yeah, totally. True. What is one thing you wish people knew about you that they don't?
I think in like early on, I wish people knew that I was kind of shy and introverted, because here too, especially like coming up and having like songs on the radio and playing shows, I'd be like out and people would be like trying to fight me because they're like, wow, you think you bad, wow, you're not like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know you, and I'm like super shy. I'm not like go around and like introduce myself to people. And so I had to learn how to be more like, make sure that I outwardly was showing that I was not like, because sometimes I'm just quiet or shy or thinking, and people took it as like, oh, what an asshole, what a snob,
like ignoring us.
Yeah, I'm like, not at all. Like I don't even.
I was just thinking of my quickest exits out of here so I could go home.
Yeah. Exactly. So that would probably like early on would have been helpful. I don't know if people know that about me now, but I mean, I've already revealed my Bears fandom.
No, I said something you wish people knew, not something you wish they didn't know about you. There it is. There's the Bears.
Good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. No, I don't know. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have like a guilty pleasure watch on TV, or something that you watch all the time, like a movie that you've watched more than any other, or both?
Well, yeah, I can answer all of those.
Okay.
Movie that I watched more than others, one of my favorite, 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
with Joseph
Yeah,
Gordon-Levitt
yeah.
and Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really good, realistic take on love. And I watch it at different points in my life. And sometimes I'm Tom, sometimes I'm Summer, sometimes I'm a mix of both. So that's usually my go-to.
Nice.
Recently, it's anime because my girlfriend and I, we're really into anime.
Yep.
So, but one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which you are kind of a part of, is The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I love zombies. I kind of hope for a zombie apocalypse if the world was gonna end. I already got everything. That was my first red flag for my girlfriend when I said, "What would be your weapon?" And she said, "Gun."
Oh.
I was like, "No, you can't. Where are you gonna get the bullets? You know, you
good
gotta,
point.
you gotta have
something you can reuse over and over
like
again.
a katana or like a
Yeah.
staff or something."
Yeah.
So that was the
And
first.
yet you pushed through, and you guys are happy.
Yes, it was a tough moment in our relationship, you know, but we made it through.
Yeah. She knows better now.
Our first big argument. So yes, when you're in a zombie apocalypse, you don't want a shotgun, you don't want guns, you need something that you can constantly use. So I just finished Daryl Dixon. It was like the other spin-off. So there's like The Walking Dead, there's Fear the Walking Dead, there's the Ones Who Live, there's the one Dead City. I watched all of them. So I love Zombie, Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead, like all those.
Was it The Last of Us?
The Last of Us, I watched that. That's a little different.
Fungus.
Then there's the World War Z movie, which I hope that doesn't happen if we have a zombie apocalypse, because those guys are just way too fast. Like if we were dealing with Walking Dead people, the zombies, we could survive. I could outrun them. Yeah. But if we had like World War Z zombies, that one movie, Warm Bodies, that was a good one too.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so that would be like my.
Is that your guilty pleasure?
Like zombies stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and like the superhero stuff. I used to watch Arrow, Flash, all those things.
And you're hoping that zombies come?
If the world was gonna end, like
that's how you want it to end.
I would rather it be like a zombie apocalypse instead of like a flood killing us all, or aliens or whatever. So zombies.
Kamaka is pro-zombie.
I'm pro-zombie. Yes. Yeah. And I think it would be a good thing to unite people in a way, because it's like, say the aliens came, it would be like humans versus aliens. It wouldn't be like blacks, whites, Asians. Like we'd all come together. I feel like it don't matter what skin color you are, what language you speak. It's like we gotta survive against these guys. So I feel like it would be a good uniting force.
Which I thought a coronavirus would have that effect, but it had the opposite effect.
Yeah, it united the people who lived in their own echo chambers.
Yeah. So that didn't happen.
That was my least favorite thing about the pandemic, is how divisive it got. Followed by, it was the elections with Trump and Biden. Then it went into the coronavirus, and I was like, I have family on both ends of it. Like, who cares? Like, let people do whatever they want. And that's what I noticed causes people the most stress and makes people the most upset and sad, is that they're trying to control others. Yeah. When you stop doing that, like, you just end up living your life and let people be. And then you're a lot less upset and triggered, because same with social media, you know, it took me a while to just be like, just let them comment, let them say whatever they want, let them post whatever they want. Like, it's not bothering me. I'm just going to keep doing my life, you know? Yeah. It's just that control that people want. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So we need aliens then. I guess that'll do it.
Yeah. So that didn't work. We need aliens or zombies. But I mean, in the zombie movies, you know, humans turn on humans once resources get scarce. So
that's true.
That's another thing.
Which might happen no matter what. So anyway,
we're all screwed. Let's all just be Bears fans and let's just enjoy the rest of our lives. If we're gonna choose something painful, let's do that.
Exactly. Go Bears. Go Bears. Join me in misery.
Yes, exactly. If you're a real Justin Kawika Young fan, you're a Bears fan.
Now, my younger cousin, I made a Bears fan, and he still holds a grudge. He's like, why would you do this to me?
And it's too far gone, right? Because like, you can't be a Chiefs fan now. You're just a bandwagoner. You're just like, you got to be loyal.
He's stuck.
Yeah. Okay, so before we end the podcast and get into more sports talk, people are like, what is this podcast?
We're going to talk UFC pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh, Max Holloway fight coming up in October. Let's not get into that. So, what was I saying? Before we end the podcast, can you share your life hack with us?
Oh yeah. I have a travel hack which I was super stoked with when I came up with it like 15 years ago, but I'm sure everyone knows it now. But when you're in your hotel and you're trying to sleep and the curtains won't close, grab the curtain hanger with the clips, and you can clip them on the curtains to keep them shut.
Curtain hanger with the clips.
Sorry, the hanger for your clothes in the closet.
Oh,
clothes hanger with the clips on the bottom, and clip the curtains shut to keep the light out.
Oh, because it always has that crack.
Yeah. So I just did that at my hotel before.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like it's all over like TikTok and stuff. But when I came up with it like 15 years ago, I really thought I like invented something. The other thing that I like to use sometimes for like anxiety before shows is binaural beats.
Oh, like listening to music.
Yeah. So there'll be like 2 different frequencies in each ear, and then your brain sort of like attunes to a middle frequency. And then I have an app that has like bird noises, because like hearing birds automatically like lowers your cortisol levels and brings you. So that's cool. Something that I like to use pre-show if I'm like really nervous or stressed out.
Cool. Yeah. Well, both great life hacks. I'm gonna try that the hotel one.
Yeah. You didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Great.
I never have a use for those hangers.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
why?
Yeah. So now I have a use for those.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Okay. You're welcome.
Cool. All right. So I have my last fast fave 5 questions. Okay. These are rapid fire answers. Okay. And then we'll get you out of here. Okay. So first one, favorite way to recharge.
Ooh. Either like walking my dogs or just going on walks in nature. I would say just being around trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now you would be perfect for the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
You got the hippy dippy vibe. You had your hair long too. I had my hair long. Yeah. I had fixed hair, everything. Yeah,
peace and love,
you're perfect. Baby. Yeah. Okay. Favorite song you've written?
Ooh. I'll choose one that's not nobody knows. A song called "Still Can't Get Used to the End." It was on my Back to the Blue album, and it was going through a lot of endings at the time, and so it's kind of about that. But it's very autobiographical, and when it started coming out, it was kind of in this like 3/4 like waltzy, like it almost sounded like an Irish drinking song, and I was like, what is this? It's like, you know what, I'm not gonna judge you. I'm just gonna let you come out as you are. And yeah, I mean, I still kind of get emotional when I play. I haven't played it a lot, but yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Cool. Yeah. I gotta go look that one up. Yeah. Okay, favorite guilty pleasure.
Well, this might be controversial because I shouldn't be guilty about watching UFC.
Oh, okay.
Because for a long time I was like, this is like so popular back home beyond all the bar. I'm like, this is so brutal. Like, and then I did jiu-jitsu for a little while, and then I started getting into like all the Gracie thing, and then watching like BJ and then Max. And now I don't miss a fight.
Yeah. And your friend Jason
with Lima.
So
yeah.
You know,
so I got to go watch one of her fights. And so yeah, now it's like Bears and UFC are like my must watch.
Okay, yeah. I pretty much watch every big UFC. I keep up with all of it. I'll miss like a fight night here and there, but I'll watch the highlights. But I love it.
Yep.
It's a good, fun way to get together with the friends.
And once like when you know more, it's like less just like people hitting each other. You're like, you know, technique, the stylistic differences, and like,
totally. Yeah. Okay. Favorite quote.
Well, we already mentioned 2 of them, but
or how about this? Favorite book.
Okay. I'll give you a few of my favorites. The Prophet was one of the first ones that I read as a kid. Khalil Gibran, that really like, I think, awoken my spiritual curiosity. A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, is one of my favorite. Like, I go back to that book all the time. Eating Animals definitely changed the way that I look at eating. And then Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson, who I mentioned earlier, who has the quote, each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. And he has the Equal Justice Initiative. So those are like kind of my,
Right. I go check them out. I always try to be a book reader. I read books in the Peace Corps because we really got much to do. And I thought I would continue that habit back here. But, you know, when you got like
all this
TVs and movie and all that, you know, it's hard.
People think I read a lot, but I aspire to read more than I do. That's why I say like
Aspiring reader.
yes. I love buying new books. I'm so excited, and then I have like this. There's actually a word in some other language. I have a book of like I have another book of words that don't translate directly to a word in English, and there's some word that I don't even know what language is. That's like the pile of books that you haven't read yet.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love having books on like a bookshelf or
Me too.
a section. It just looks
It's great decor too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last one. Favorite movie?
Um,
Actually, I want to add another favorite movie / TV show. I want to know both.
one of my favorite movies was Searching for Sugarman. It was a documentary.
I don't know that one.
Man, it's so good. It's about an artist who released a record in like the late 60s or early 70s. Nothing happened. He kind of like made this album. Nobody heard it. Went on with his life. He didn't know that in South Africa, he was like a huge star.
I did hear about this.
Yeah. So these two radio DJs in South Africa go and try and figure out whatever happened to this guy. And they had heard that he had like lit himself on fire on stage and died. But it was like he was like in everyone's house with like all these famous records. And so it's an incredible story. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
Searching for Sugarman.
Yeah, I heard about that. I think I might have watched the trailer.
It's so good.
Okay, cool.
Good.
I gotta add that to my list. Okay, and favorite TV show?
I'll say the TV show that I've watched, I mean, the most, which is, I don't know why, but I got stuck on watching Succession over and over again.
Succession. I've never seen that.
And I read what it was about. I didn't watch it for a long time. I'm like, why would I like this show? It's a bunch of greedy people like fighting over, but I don't know. It's so well done.
Maybe it's totally different from who you are, what you do. So it's like an escape.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's like my favorite show of all time, but for some reason, like I did it with The Office for a long time and just put it on over and over again. And for some reason, it's a weird show to do it with. I've probably put Succession on like the entire season like 7 or 8 times.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
Yeah. I get The Office, but
yeah. I don't even get it.
I don't really understand the Succession because I don't know that show.
So. Even I know it and I don't get it, but yeah.
I still question myself. Okay, well, that's all we have for you today. Mahalo so much for talking stories and sharing a lot of awesome topics here on the podcast today.
It's having great conversations is like my favorite thing, and I'm such a big fan of your show. So thank you for having me. And someday there'll be room for 7 sons.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, we need to get something on this wall. Because even for 3 guests, I like having multiple guests once in a while, but I haven't had it in a while because I don't. After the comedian one with Augie, Frank, and I was like, I just didn't like having the white wall as a background. Yeah. So we're trying to figure that out before we get multiple guests on. 7, the most we've had was 3. 7's gonna be a new.
We can have 3 of the 7.
I think maybe that would be more of a live podcast now.
Come to a show.
Maybe at the Blue Note.
Yeah, in the backstage area.
Yeah, because we had a live podcast at the Blue Note.
Sweet.
They actually want us back. So I am looking for a guest to fill that spot. So maybe it's a little live show plus singing.
Let's do
maybe
it.
Mixture.
Let's do it.
Thinking about it. Okay.
After football season, when you have more time.
Next year, next year.
After the Bears win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do this in 2046, guys.
I'll be happy with that. I don't care as long as I'm alive.
Yeah. The Blue Note thing might be a realistic option, though.
More than the Super Bowl. Yes, you're right.
Definitely.
All right, let's do it.
We'll talk about it after. So is there anything you want to share before we wrap up? If not, tell us where we can find you.
No, that's kind of it. We talked about everything. Come say hi. I'm mostly on Instagram, Justin Kawika Young, and 7 Sons, the band, I think.
I think the band. I think it's the band at the end.
And if you feel like watching my movie, My Hero the Hitman.
Okay, available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like everywhere, but those are the main ones,
Okay, sounds good. Mahalo, Justin, for joining us on the Keep It Aloha podcast. Spread love, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. We have new episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Komaka, and remember to always keep it aloha.